Today is Saturday, November 30th, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 47, Week 11.
Week 11. We're at the stage of the game where perspectives, takes on the season, all that can shift dramatically very quickly because we're getting closer and closer to the wire. And so your favorite, who you've been cheering for, Kyle, has been there all along, and then all of a sudden he isn't, and now the sentiment you have towards the season can possibly shift dramatically. I'm looking forward to checking in with the fans and seeing if that is the case, how they're still feeling about the season, and of course, some predictions for how things might go next.
We do have one business note that we wanted to say up front, and this coming week, the vote out will be the same as always, but on the finale, part 1, on December the 11th, that will be a double elimination. So that is very fortunate for those of us in JSFL who are running very short on
low on safe picks. Yeah.
You can only use each person's a total of 6 times, and so I might squeak by a little better this way now that we've been informed that that's the case. A double elimination, and the finale part 2 on December 18th will start with Final 4.
Cool, yeah.
That hasn't happened in a very long time.
Long time, yes. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how all that plays out.
But I just wanted to say that up front. I know it's a little early, but I wanted all of you who were in my position and worrying about your safe picks that you might come relax a little better now.
Yeah, you need 2 more?
2 more.
Yeah. So if you've got 4 on people, you'll be okay.
That's right.
Potentially, depending on how you make your choice this next coming week.
Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, thanks. Anything else we need to cover?
I think that's it.
First up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow, what a Thanksgiving Eve treat here. I am a little sad, but I'm going to let out a great big woo! And gobble gobble for Thanksgiving. I'll be honest, Kyle had that coming. I'm sure everyone agrees on the listener feedback show. I know you guys talked about it, I'm sure too. Kyle, he won 4 challenges in a row. What more could you say? I mean, the guy was the biggest threat. And also, not just physically. Now, I don't know how much he might have offered strategically because he didn't have to play by winning those challenges. But socially, he had the jury votes. He was likable. I'm sure Saul, Sierra, and even Gabe, I bet you they would have voted for him, and he made a good case if he was in the end. So that was the right choice for sure. But I was on the fence, though. I really thought it was going to be Genevieve. Now, she's barely holding on by a thread. She was fortunate last week with the Gabe vote. Now, Kyle, the next big threat physically, and you could say maybe socially, is gone. So now Genevieve is on the outs, and it looks like, what's that? Now, she's trying to do a fake idol there. Is that the thing that Sam had? I forget. She's trying to get it to Rue Zandy there. And then you got now these women that are trying to work a Final 4 here. Sue, Caroline, Rachel. I don't know if it's going to work, or with Teeny, I think. But we'll see if it works. Nothing ever beats the Black Widow with Poverty and Amanda and Natalie Bolton and Cerie. But we'll see. You never know, though. And I'll be remiss. Rachel, this is a great Rachel episode. Winning that challenge when she goes on that quest there. She's in the middle of the ocean. I honestly didn't think she could pull it out because those anchors there were going off way too quick. But she pulled it off right at the final seconds there. Kudos to her, and she could steal someone's vote, which might come into play sooner than later. And how about her winning the challenge and beating Kyle for immunity? Great episode for Rachel, guys. Now, if she holds her cards true, especially with those women, I honestly think I could see her winning because she's likable, and they say she's sneaky, but I know the jury would respect her winning a challenge here, and she's good socially as well, and has eased her way now to get to the top right now. And Andy, I don't know, he couldn't flip the script by getting rid of Genevieve. He could still be considered a GOAT, in my opinion. I mean, clearly him and Sue are the ones that I think have no shot. Teeny's got an outside shot. Right now, I think Rachel got the best shot of winning. Caroline, don't know about her. And then Sam and Genevieve are the two that are the big targets right now. But the way it's looking for next week, we'll see. Looking forward to how this fake idol goes and how they rouse Andy or if this women's alliance holds true. But I'll miss Kyle. He offered a lot, but he was too much of a threat. All right, guys. Well, happy Thanksgiving, and I can't wait to hear what everyone else thought. Woo!
Woo. Thanks, Pete. And just to remind everyone, the interviews, because of the holiday, get delayed. They won't do the interviews with Kyle until Monday. That's when those will be released. And it wasn't a steal a vote that she got. It was block a vote. A little different in terms of the execution there. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Christiana from Massachusetts calling in with my feedback for this week. Another great episode. I'm definitely sad to see Kyle go. He was seemingly a really good guy, good player, not the most strategic, but honestly, I thought he held his own, especially this week trying to fight for his life. I feel like he'll be back. As Gabe said, I'll be back. I feel like was just well liked and well portrayed by production, so that might play in his favor in the future. But I wanted to touch on Kyle's threat level because people agreed, like the castaways agreed that, yes, he's a challenge beast, but that doesn't hold weight like it does an old school Survivor. As Andy said, the likelihood of him truly winning out is quite slim. Every single immunity is probably unlikely. But to me, he was the biggest threat in the sense of he was an incredible social threat. He was very likable. And people are saying if he is at the end, I am voting for him. So to me, that is the biggest threat because someone who is unbeatable is not someone you want at the end if you are at the end. So I agree with Teeny that he had to go. Like if I were playing against him, I would not want him to be there anymore. But as a viewer, I enjoyed watching him. And I thought that the way he went out was really nice. Giving everyone hugs, I thought that was sweet. Maybe like a little much, but it was nice. I also wanted to just touch upon this idea of threats. It got me thinking about how, like what Genevieve was saying, how goats are threats. Andy and Sue being brought to the end, quote unquote. But that means they're taking up seats that you could otherwise be in to then plead your case. And maybe you have a great case to plead if you could just get there. And so I think in modern Survivor, everyone is a threat in their own way. If you're a challenge beast, you're a threat because you're taking away other people's immunity chances. If you're very strategic and smart, you're a threat. Even if you're kind of cold and unlikable, like Genevieve. If you're likable, you're a threat. If you're a goat, you're a threat because you're taking up a seat at Final Tribal. Like there really is no sort of neutral player anymore. And maybe there never was, but I feel like that's just really magnified in the new era. And the best shot you have, and someone said this at Tribal, I don't remember who, is to play the middle where you're not too much of anything. But at the end of the day, I feel like the biggest thing you need is just be in the majority voting block, because regardless of what sort of trope that you have been labeled as, you just need the votes on your side to get through. And if you don't have them on your side, then you're going to get picked up as a threat in one way or another. Finally, I had a thought about what you all brought up about Andy commenting on how, he lied to all the jury members currently on the jury. And to me, I thought that in keeping with this theme of threats, that was him playing his threat level down to the current castaways, like the people still in the game, by being like, I am not a jury threat because I have lied and screwed over the jury. But even that is a threat in itself. Not being a jury threat is a threat because then that gets you to the end. But if you are a jury threat, you're also a threat. So see, it just goes in circles. And I'm curious if you all have any thoughts on that. Anyway, I hope for those in the States you had a great Thanksgiving, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone else has to say. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Christiana. Do you think everyone is a threat? Their potential to take a seat
They're
at the end,
a potential
like she said.
threat.
Yeah, there's certainly some that are more threatening than others. The one that can explain themselves or tell better stories or do better narration than you seems to me to be a more significant threat than a goat, especially if I think I can explain away the difference between me and the goat. There's varying degrees of threat level, yes. That's probably the difference. But yeah, sure, everyone has the potential to take your seat at the end. So in that regard, you got to get it down to those three. Thanks, Christiana. Next up, we got an email from Barry in Mississippi.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. What a great, engaging season. Interesting that Rachel eventually gets to use both options from the advantage Saul found, albeit she had to do a challenge to get the block a vote. I guess Budget Survivor is trying to save on ideas. Since only 6 of the 7 votes were read, Rachel's claim to have lost a vote will still seem plausible.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. I guess that's potentially true. Yeah.
Seems like block a vote is more valuable at 6 rather than 7. It's a direct tiebreaker at 6. If the vote is split 4-3 and the vote block is used on one of the 4, does the person whose vote was blocked get to vote on the revote? No, I didn't think about that either.
It's a good question, but usually those kind of things will hold over. They're in effect during that tribal council.
Maybe. Really like the timing mechanism for the advantage challenge. Much more fun than the hourglass. Would have been more interesting if the ocean had been a bit choppy and added a little balance factor and a wet deck involved. Would they have put a safety harness on her? I like the thought of the Women's Alliance. Please take out Andy. He has gone from being a somewhat sympathetic character to a hold-your-nose zero-vote goat. Although I could see him telling the jury that it was all an act. Many thanks to you and this Survivor family you've created that I spend my Sunday mornings with. Welcome back to the South. All right, thank you, Barry, and good to hear from you. Up next, we've got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. I thought that this was another great episode of Survivor, although I didn't get the outcome that I was looking for with the vote. It was unfortunate seeing Kyle go home. My USB Caroline was featured a little bit more this episode, and I think she showed she has a pretty good social game. She did a really good job mending fences with Sue, and that was nice to see. And we got a little bit of her backstory. I was excited she's being featured a little bit more prominently. And then she kind of faded back into the background again. So I think if Caroline wants to win this game, she's really got to turn it on in the next couple episodes and start driving some of the moves in the game. Otherwise, she's just going to be a 0-vote finalist or maybe not even make the finale. I'm really not a fan of the journeys that they do, especially because the castaways always have to come back and tell some sort of story, and no matter what, people aren't going to believe them. But I gotta say, the way they did the timer was really brilliant. It really made for a nerve-wracking challenge, and I wonder how many people in the cast could have actually completed the challenge. It was really impressive to see Rachel do it just in the nick of time. I think very clearly Rachel is definitely the front runner to win this season. I think she's just, her story, she seems to get all these different advantages and stuff. She's being featured so much every episode. I gotta say, I think Rachel is the person I think who's gonna end up winning this game. For the vote out this week, like many of you, I had Genevieve, and I thought there was a chance, but it really seemed like they're gung-ho to get rid of Kyle. And the thing that kind of confuses me is, say they didn't get rid of Kyle and they get rid of Genevieve because Genevieve is more of an overall threat in terms of winning the game, then doesn't it sort of become like, if Kyle ends up getting the finale, it's like, okay, you won lots of challenges, but we had 2 opportunities to get rid of him and we chose not to, so that was our decision. Like, I don't know, to me just Genevieve seems like the bigger overall threat, more strategic. She does fairly good at these challenges. I think she will end up probably winning one more as the season goes by. And she's probably, one of the most strategic players on the season. So I would have liked to have seen them get rid of her, just at least selfishly, so I could have got a vote off point. But anyway, so who's going to be my vote off next week? Well, the trend is that it's the person who I put the week prior. So I think I might put Genevieve as my vote off next week. Maybe Sam, it's his time. I'm not sure. But I look forward to hearing all the other fans' feedback. And you guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, there's some hints of that in the other predictions from the other fans. Let's keep going. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling with my feedback for what was the saddest vote out of all time. Probably the saddest vote out since Rick Devens went out at Fire, which I think wasn't that the first time they did Fire? Yeah, there's chickens in the background because I'm feeding the chickens at work right now. Yeah, broke my heart to see Kyle go, and I actually had to call my boyfriend and tell him he got voted out, and he's watched one episode, and he's like, he was just too good. He was just too kind. There was no way if he got to the end that he wouldn't win. And I totally get it, but it broke my heart. Oh, what a gem. I love Kyle. At least we still get to see him in the jury. Now, can we talk about, though, what a psychopath Genevieve is? Okay, so if Kyle was, I will emotionally connect with everybody, Genevieve is like, I don't want to emotionally connect with anyone. I don't want to be connected with anybody. I am just cutthroat, and it's so bizarre to me. Anyway, I hope she goes out next week. Hi, chickens. They're all around my feet, thinking I might give them treats. No, I'm just giving my Survivor feedback, guys. Girls. I think we're going to have a padonging going on of taking out now the people that the little 5 core misfits don't want. I think Genevieve's going to be next. I think Sam might go after that. I thought Caroline might be in trouble this week, but it seems she and Sue totally mended fences, and they're stronger than ever. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving with whoever you celebrated with. And as always, very, very thankful for this community and this podcast. Monday, we are flying to Oahu, where I'll be probably till March with my job. So I'll give my next feedback from a warmer climate. Thank you all so much. Happy Thanksgiving, and thank you, Joanne and Stacy, for everything you do. Bye.
So she's headed to Hawaii, but the chickens in the background made me think of when we were in Hawaii, and we would hear those chickens when we were at the beach and stuff in Maui. Thanks, Rebecca. And next up, we got a call from Anderson.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Anderson from North Carolina with my feedback for Week 11. All right, so great episode. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving down in Georgia. And my thoughts on this episode, they really should have kept Gabe. Yeah, they should have gotten someone else out, like Genevieve or Andy or even Caroline. Yeah, I know you're USB, Joanne, but my USB Sam had an okay episode. I guess Sam might have been the only one Sam and Genevieve might be hanging, but Andy might pull something. I think either Andy or Genevieve is going to go. But if they do target the women, they're going to target Rachel. I lost another 6 point, third week in a row. But Lisa Ray is still tied with me in the side challenge, because apparently she lost the 6 points too. I thought they'd go after Rachel. But they got the set for Rachel. She's either going this week, next week, the final 5. All right, bye.
Thanks, Anderson. I don't know. Rachel, her game was just phenomenal. She blocked Sam and Genevieve from having a chance at the advantage, actually won the advantage, and then won immunity. Well, I guess that does mean her threat level's super high too, though, potentially. She's just got the umbrella of the underdogs to help protect her at this point. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Tara in New York. Hi, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor friends. For all of you that celebrate, and especially Joanne and Stacy in your new home, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with the people you love. I'm thankful for this community every week and always look forward to hearing all of your thoughts. I wish I'd taken my own advice from last week. I should have left my picks alone, but decided to play bold and keep Kyle safe at the last minute. Ouch. I was so sure Teeny would make her big move against Genevieve this week, but she was dead set on Kyle instead. Do you think it's possible she wanted to wait until she could claim Genevieve's vote out as her own? I think she just wanted a big move for her resume, and she wanted Kyle, and she didn't want him to slip by. Hopefully she can pull together a move. Time is running short, and I'm losing confidence in her win. but I'm still pulling for it. Finally, a fun journey. I immediately thought Rachel would solve the puzzle, but I was still watching through my fingers while those weights dropped. She's a fascinating player, making great moves. Realizing that she needed to go on the journey to block Genevieve and Sam from the advantage was really smart, and it seems no one else even thought of it. Plus, she's got Sue in her pocket now. She's the one to beat for sure. As far as the vote, don't agree that taking out Kyle was the best move, and it was sad to see him go. Genevieve is way more dangerous, and it appears that she will be up to something sneaky next week. I wonder who she will target. My guess would be Rachel or maybe Teeny. She's a great player too, but I don't really like her emotional disconnect. I think she'll need connections to get any votes from the jury if she does get to the end. Kenzie's win last season comes to mind thinking about that. The Women's Alliance in the preview caught my eye too. Normally they never work. I only wonder about the possibility now because it was mentioned so many times earlier in the season. Maybe we were shown that for a reason. It's fun to think about at least. Right now I'm guessing Genevieve will go next week, but it looks like it could be a crazy episode. I could even see Andy blowing up his game and going home. Whatever happens, I can't wait to find out. I also can't wait to hear everyone's predictions. Thanks as always, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. Have a great week all. Thank you, Tara. Hope you have a fantastic week too. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Drew. So this is a little, it starts off with some reaction audio and then it goes into Drew's feedback just so you have a sense of what's going on.
What are we watching, guys?
Survivor.
What's happening?
There's back to balance blocks on a platform.
Who's about to win?
Rachel.
Do you think she's going to get there?
No. Yes.
No?
No. Yes.
This is so stressful. Come on, Kyle.
Come on, Rachel. Yes. No.
This challenge has been a really high energy experience in our house on Thanksgiving afternoon. Every time anything drops, everyone loses their mind. Come on, Kyle. Kyle or Rachel. Kyle or Rachel.
Kyle dropped.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. Hopefully you could decipher what was going on in that previous call. So since it was Thanksgiving, I had the day off, we watched the episode all together. I mean, Julie was kind of doing her thing, but all the kids came and joined me, usually just the older ones, and then the little boys were up and around, so we all watched it together. And I can tell you, that was the most exciting Survivor episode I've seen in a long time, and maybe it just happened to be an exciting episode, the challenges and the journey and everything, but maybe it was increased a little bit just with they were like on the ceiling, you guys. They were so during that immunity challenge. I mean, the ropes and the weights with Rachel's journey. Keep in mind, Rachel and Kyle are top picks in our house. And so when Rachel was on the line during the journey and when Kyle was on the line during the immunity challenge, people were climbing onto the roof. It was crazy. It was really exciting. And at least one of them turned out the way we hoped. Let me tell you this too. We made handprint turkeys as like a craft while we were waiting for dinner and stuff. And you're supposed to write something you're thankful for on each of the finger feathers and then decorate the turkey. The thumb is the head, of course. You can just do whatever you want. And then all of my boys, I got 3 boys, 1 girl. All of my boys put Kyle as one of the feathers on their turkeys. So we had an impact on our day. And, looking back next year, when we look back at the turkeys we made this year, I'm curious to see if they even remember who Kyle is. But I kind of think they might because this is their first real involved and engaged season. So you kind of never really forget your very, very first season and first favorites. So we were really bummed. I'm not going to say there were tears and Misty in the TV room as he was departing, but I'm not going to say there weren't. So, and I'm not going to say they were mine, and I'm not going to say they weren't. So it was a good episode, exciting finish. We're really just Team Rachel right now. I still like Genevieve because I think her conflict is kind of relatable, and she articulates it really well, I think, in a way that a lot of people feel on the show but don't seem to quite get across. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure she thought she was gone, but my USB 10, I guess, USB 5 at this point, whatever it is, I picked her second. Still in the game. We'll see what happens. Everyone, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. We did, and talk to you next time. Bye. And P.S., Power Hammock. Really insightful, Jade and Christine. And I took note, who was sitting in the Power Hammock right before Tribal Council? Genevieve. Interesting observation. And, I mean, they do seem to kind of carefully and intentionally show who is hanging. So, going to have to keep an eye out on that. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Drew, for bringing us into that excitement there while you guys were watching the episode. Sounded like a lot of fun. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanna and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh, and I just want to say to all the Survivor fans here, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I did, and Joanne, if you did get a chance to spend it with your mother, I'm sure it was very meaningful for you. I want to talk about the gameplay of the players that are still there, but also let me start with Kyle. We knew he was going to go. We knew he couldn't continue to win immunities, but when he said, now's the time for me to get into the social game, I was thinking, now? You're 3 weeks in, 1 week left. Now is the time. I thought he was a perfect gentleman. I thought when he said goodbye to everybody, it was very touching, and I was really glad that he got a hug from Jeff. I think he could be back, but again, he's not a player with much game strategy. Oh, and why didn't he vote for Genevieve? He put down Teeny's name. I couldn't figure out. He didn't seem to know why he did it either. And then there's Sue. Sue, I hope she gets voted out before the end so we can hear her interview and find out what was her problem with Kyle, that he voted for her once? Really? Was that it? I mean, I don't know. It just went on and on and on and on and on. And boy, it was easy for Carolyn to talk her way back into Sue's good graces, and same with Rachel. All they had to do was hold out the little olive branch. Sue grasped at it, and she's back in the game. Oh, and I tried to see what she wrote above the vote for Kyle, but I couldn't, so I'm wondering if anybody actually could enlarge it to see. She wrote, it looked like 2 words, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Then there's Mastermind Andy, who says he's calling the shots, but is he? He thinks he is, but all we needed was Carolyn not to go against Sue this again, and Teeny saying, I'm not going to vote for anybody but Kyle, so he switches again. I don't know if his edit is making us think he's on the way for a win or not, but I suspect he is not going to win the game. Right now, Rachel seems to be in the best position of everyone. She's aligned with Andy and Teeny, and also Sue and Carolyn, and the underdog. 5. I think she's doing really well. She's made many smart moves in the game, not playing her shot in the dark, so she didn't have to put in a vote. And although she told the 5 about her block of vote, she still has this hidden immunity idol. By the way, why did they show both Sue and Rachel with the hidden immunity idol this episode? Because it didn't come into play at all. I'm just wondering what kind of foreshadowing that was. Anyway, really interested to hear what other people have to say. Hope you did have a good holiday, and I'll talk to everybody next week. Bye.
Sue wrote Tweedledee on the vote, and that was in reference to Andy had told her that Kyle called her and Caroline Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yep. Well, I wondered the same thing, David, and the only thing I can think of is they just wanted to remind us who had idols.
Yeah, in the end, I think that's probably what it was. Just where's everything sitting? They don't have the benefit of the fantastic visual roster that Paul has created for us. So
that's right.
They used a little previously on time to recap that. Just a reminder. Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and I really enjoyed this episode. And hey, for once, I did not lose a save point. I knew the risks, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't put Kyle as the vote off, but I also couldn't put him safe either. Mm-hmm. I had Genevieve as my vote off, but I couldn't do it. I know the odds that he goes in this episode are very high, but it's Kyle. I don't want to put him as my vote off. And so exactly. I went the other way, but I definitely could have had him safe. I couldn't do that. So 4 points, not bad. Still in the bottom, but hey, I'm making my way up. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Don't count me out just yet. I'm getting there. But no, this is a really good episode. I love that it was really introspective in a way, because we kind of, at the beginning of the episode, we got that moment with pretty much everybody where it was just a confessional of them talking about their game and where they're at in the game. And we don't really get that very often. Maybe we'll get that from one person, but not from, 6 out of the 8. That was pretty cool to just see all the dynamics, see what the group of 5 was doing, see what the group of 3 was doing. Although, I think that group of 5 that is a stacked group for Rachel to win. I feel like they should be seeing Rachel in the Big Threats group, but I guess she's hiding well enough that they're not. Although this was a really good episode for Rachel. The advantage, also the journey, that game was so fun. And it was unique and different, fast, and it was a lot of fun. And the advantage isn't game breaking, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, especially in an episode where we didn't have a reward challenge. It's an okay takeaway, and so I really like that. But yeah, I don't know how they see her as an underdog when she's wheeling and dealing, and I think in that group of 5, she probably wins, and so that just shocked me. I feel like Sam is more of an underdog than Rachel at this point, but he's seen as a big threat and she's not. But hey, that's great for Rachel. I think she's going to have a bit of a target after this week, though. Winning immunity, getting an advantage, doing all this stuff. But yeah, no, she's great. But it was very sad losing Kyle. He's just like a great dude. And I'm sure Sue is going to sleep so peacefully now that Kyle's gone. Man, I'm so sick of Sue. She sucks. But great episode. Really, I'm looking forward to the end game of this season. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Got a lot of fun players and a lot of just craziness going on, a lot of unpredictability, and I think we might see the red carpet roll out for Rachel here, and I'm very excited. That's all I got. I'll see you all next time.
There we had it. Parker's early prediction for the winner. Good job, Parker. Next up, we got an email from Becca in South Carolina.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, Survivor fans. Here's a few things I'm grateful for. Number 1, I'm keeping up with Survivor and the podcast this season. The past several seasons, I've been a few weeks behind schedule watching, and it's more fun to watch and enjoy the podcast when everyone else is. Number 2, we're watching this season as a family. Of course, Liam has watched many, many challenges over the past 13 years.
Wow.
But this is the first season that the 4 of us are sitting down each week and watching Survivor together. That is awesome.
Yes.
I love seeing Liam and Caroline get into the show. They certainly have strong feelings about Sue. We are still training Liam to wait until commercial break to give his feedback, but at least he quickly learned from his mistake of turning the TV off before the final confessional / vote reveal / next time on Survivor. Number 3, I'm finally getting feedback in this week. Yay! I've attempted many times this season, but somehow, even when I decided I'd write feedback before the episode even aired, I didn't manage to send it in on time. One thing we're not thankful for is seeing Kyle go. What a great guy. We've been cheering for him because we love his personality, and for Caroline, since her name is Caroline, I hope they bring back a fan favorite prize this season. I'd vote for Kyle. In case I don't make it on time with my feedback for another episode, thanks for making this season so enjoyable. All right, Becca, it's great to hear from you.
Yes. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, John and Stacey, North 5 fans. Hope everyone is well and safe. What an excellent episode once again. It's just another episode reinforcing how good season 47 is. It's by far, for me, the best season of the 40s. It's just got an excellent blend between production, balance of gameplay, the cast, and the quality of cast that we've got up until this point, and the fact that we've lost so much quality, not only in the beginning, but in the back end too. We've got some really good players in the merge. We had Tiana, Sierra, Sol, Gabe, Kyle that have been able to come through at that point. And I think Kyle unfortunately fell victim to not only putting a target on himself, but not being able to leverage his social gameplay from the very beginning. I don't know if he ever had one. I think a couple of weeks ago I said that I felt bad for him because it doesn't look like he has one. And the fact that he had that conversation with Andy that maybe I should flick on the Switch and start playing this social game, it's like too late, man. Unfortunately, it's 4 to 5 weeks too late. Usually you want to kind of do that around merge time. You want to start building bonds with other people and maybe lessen the target on yourself, be able to spread that threat. But he just really built that threat. And I love him. I love a lot of black people in this cast, but he's just a really nice guy. And I'm sure that he'll be back again. He's that type of player. But I wonder if he'll play a different way. That's just something that I've been thinking about for a while now, that Ken Kyle, second game, coming back, be able to change the way he plays. Other thoughts? I thought the challenge was excellent. I'd agree with you there, Stacey. I think that the first weight that got thrown is then linked to the next flap, and that then creates the reaction. But I thought that was awesome. That was just, again, really well calculated. Being able to calculate how far the weight would also go, at what speed that it would get to, because obviously an acceleration in the water is going to be far different, obviously, to air. So you have to take that into account too. So they would have done a lot of testing beforehand. I thought Andy's vote for Genevieve was quite poignant in that it's another misread from him. Not only do they not regard him, and I think we saw that conversation where they didn't regard Andy as a threat, even though he thinks he's a threat and he's building this game. So we're getting this bit of this edit. I'm not calling it a purple edit or a winner's edit at all, but we're getting this different angle now where he's voted for Genevieve and he's misread the room. So I wonder where he's just been led along, and he might be a goat to the 3. He thinks that he's going to be winning it, and I wonder if they're going to be able to pull that angle with us as viewers, and then he just gets duped and it's a 0 vote member of the 3. Overall, it's an excellent season. I think the only players in my mind that can't win it are Andy, and Sue, and maybe Teeny has a chance, but Sue and Andy for sure no. The rest, just everyone's got a chance. I feel everyone's got a story, and that's what makes this season one of the best I've watched in 10 to 15 years. Thanks for all you do. Cheers.
Thanks, Shahin. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. This is Kim from North Carolina. I'm trying to get my feedback in at the very last minute because I'm at a family gathering. I can't find a quiet place. Anyway, I just watched the episode. Gabe was a smart vote out last week, and now we get to see a little bit of Caroline and how she's wooing Sue and really playing smart and strategic. So the 5 ladies plus Andy is a great idea, except, of course, Andy is totally unreliable, as we see in the Next Time on Survivor part. So one problem with Andy's calculation about Kyle's chance of winning the next immunity challenge is that it assumes that the probability of him winning one is independent of the probability of him winning the next, which I don't think it is. I think that Kyle's strong, and so therefore he has a higher probability than just 6.25%, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I do agree with Andy that Genevieve would be a better person to vote out. I think she's wilier than Kyle is, and she stirs up a lot of problems, and she's just stirred up Andy, and now it's gonna blow things up for next week. But I'm really enjoying the season. I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving who celebrates it, and I'll talk to everybody next week. Bye.
Thanks, Kim. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacey and all my Survivor friends. Now, this was such a fun episode. And the best was I finally got a vote out point for Kyle.
Congrats.
I just thought if he loses even one challenge, he would be voted off, and he'd already won 4, so there was a high chance of him not winning this. But I was so pleased to see Rachel win it. That was brilliant. Talking about Rachel, the journey was so much fun. I really enjoyed the journey this time. It was just so good, and the whole part of it was so tense, and I was like, oh my god, I wish she gets it. And she played it really well with how she told her allies about it, and she got so into her confidence, just like she played with the shot in the dark. So yeah, she's really become my favorite now, and I do hope she gets to the end, fingers crossed. I think Genevieve should go. I know they've shown her sides, and she's regretting how she played with Kishan and all, but I don't know, I can't warm up to her at all. Caroline is still quite wishy-washy, and I don't know, I can't warm up to her. Poor Sam, how the mighty have fallen. And Sue, she had her face clean for a bit, but then it went back to dirt. But I hope people watch this and are deterred from ever getting a facelift or fillers or Botox, because when you lose weight or something, this is what happens. Oh my God. Poor thing, she must really dread looking at herself on the screen. But now she's going to be backing up Rachel, hopefully. So who goes next? I'm just hoping and wishing it's Genevieve, and I will be putting her name down. Yeah, and I heard it snowed in the US. That's what my son told me, and it's only in the end of November. Anyway, we are having a lovely summer, and we had 36 degrees today, so it was really nice and warm. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody in the US. I hope you all had a lovely family feast and time with your loved ones. Cheers.
Cheers, Rashmi. Congrats on getting your vote out point at the expense of my USB.
What is that in Fahrenheit?
It's in the 90s, I think. Yeah. 80s, 90s, high 80s, 90s. Next up, we got an email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, except for Rachel's journey, the episode was kind of meh. I know it's stressful for the players, but watching blocks fall 16 times was kind of boring. Having an early consensus vote out didn't help either. At least we didn't get leftovers, a clip show for Thanksgiving. That's true. We used to get those, didn't we? Mm-hmm. With maybe just one or two new scenes in them at best. Sometimes it was just
they
complete
said
repeats.
There was, but
yeah. Here's my other observations. Caroline's imitation of Sue was spot on and really funny. To paraphrase Eeyore, the day's rainy, the night was cold, but at least they hadn't had any earthquake. Gabe wanted Goat Caroline to follow him along. Instead, she butted him from the game. We interrupt this feedback for a breaking news flash. Sue wants Kyle gone. Film at 11. Genevieve has few connections by design. Isn't this a social game? Isn't that Paramount? Caroline gave Sue an olive branch. She's lucky Sue didn't whack her with it. Sam said people trust him more when he tells the truth. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Genevieve, a best friend who kills dreams, is also a villain. Kyle can lie, manipulate, and deceit. One of these things is not like the others. Yeah, that's true. Andy says everyone isn't an AI agent. I guess they have no future in call centers. These days, do the producers only cast folks with touching backstories? It does seem that way, doesn't it? Andy's got a crushing game. He may wind up having a crushing defeat. Rachel journeyed to a barge. The game table made a voyage to the bottom of the sea. Isn't it sad how some people see the truth as lies they would have told? Rachel has a secret block a vote. Jeff was her secret Santa. Remind me to never have Survivor production build an alarm clock for me. Sue feels bonded to Rachel. Maybe her dirt has turned to cement. Is Genevieve this season's smoke screen a la Q? Finding Andy and Rachel is teeny sanctuary. Sorry, but that word is trademarked. where good things happen. Jeff was kind to give them 2 hammocks so they can strategize in comfort. Genevieve is a big nuisance and a threat to Andy's game. He should look in a mirror. Am I wrong, or did Kyle always finish in the top 2 in individual immunity challenges? Was it always that high? Oh, maybe. Rachel says hearing good job feels good whether they mean it or not. Andy agrees. You know he does, yeah. Kyle's good at challenges, likable with a good story, definitely not winner material. Sam said going with the group stinks. Getting voted out by them is worse. Kyle, if you're the target and someone asks if you have an idol, the answer is yes. Is it me, or is Andy naming a lot of the recent episodes? Yeah, quite a few of them, yeah. Saul must be a fan of NBA athletes' fashion. He's bringing drip to the jury. Yeah, he had on like yellow pants and blue shoes, and he was all kinds of colors again this week. All things being equal, Andy was statistically correct about Kyle's chances, but it's still Culpepper math. Challenged beasts, goats, wounded birds. This season should be called Survivor, Animal Sanctuary. Teeny spoke of outward and inward threats. Kyle's an outie, Genevieve's an innie. The players are right. Eliminating goats and beasts frees up seats in the final 3. Jeff dropped a spoiler at Tribal Council. He said the words, has an idol or new advantage. Andy's got a point. The winner is often someone from the middle of the pack. Kyle's a class act. I'd be really surprised if he's a bitter juror. I was stunned that Sue's Tweedledee vote was not shown. On Survivor, investing $1.20 usually doesn't turn into $1 million. Next time, girl power forever. Genevieve takes up arts and crafts. Andy's the straw that stirs the drink, and if this works, Genevieve will die. Isn't quitting a safer option? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, Survivor friends. Jeremiah here with some feedback for this week's episode of Survivor. Well, Kyle finally went home, and the only thing I'm truly sad about was not having him as my vote out point. A very obvious vote out point, but the issue is I really talked myself into this notion that he was going to get that elusive fifth immunity win. I really thought that's what we were headed towards with all the conversation we've been seeing them on this season talk about. So I put him safe, which means I lost a save point. But I'm sure no one is going to feel sorry for me. I'm sure you're not feeling far sorry for me, Stacy, since I think I've been on top of the side challenge all season, and this is my first 3-point week. So, yeah, no one's going to feel sorry for me, but I was feeling sorry for myself. Now, what I'm about to say is probably going to get me in some hot water in the community, but I am not really that upset to see Kyle go. Listen, I'm not saying I dislike Kyle. He seems to be an amazing human being. From what we can tell, he's a super nice, loyal guy, loves his family, all those good attributes you want in a human being. But as a player on Survivor, he comes across as the kind of guy who is just going to do that. He's going to play the nice, loyal guy who has a great story, but has no strategic bone in his body. Dare I say this season he was kind of boring. These are the kind of players who really don't excite me. Now, a guy like Kyle is always going to have a hard time finding a way to win. But if he understood the game, he would have known early on not to show everyone how good he was at these challenges and would have put him in a little bit better of a position. Last week, he seemed like he was kind of playing a little bit, realizing that one of the, 2Q4s we have to go, but he's pushing so hard for Gabe, when honestly, that's probably the worst move for him. He's got to have people like Gabe to stay in the game to use as a shield. I just don't think a guy like Kyle understands the game of Survivor. But I agree with you, too. I think that he is the kind of person that the producers, especially Jeff, love. And I would not be surprised at all to see him return for season 50. But personally, for me, I kind of hope he doesn't. And again, it's not because I don't think he's a great person. Listen, if he made it to the end and he won, I would have been happy for a guy who clearly could use the money and help his family and do all those great, wonderful things. But for me, I like game players. And speaking of which, we seem to be getting a rise from Carolyn this week. Thought she had a pretty good episode this week, but maybe not nearly as good as the person I think we're leaning towards now as being our winner. I think it's Rachel. That's where I'm at the moment. Just like I said last week, my mind keeps changing all the time. That's kind of where I'm settling at the moment. And I'm assuming the other two people sitting next to her will be one in the combination of the 5 people she's playing with at the moment. So that's where my mindset is for the end game. And as far as next week's concerned, yeah, I'm picking Genevieve to go home. I'm sticking with the obvious pick until she finally does go home. So, yeah, there's my big prediction for next week. You all take care. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Makes sense. And the more I thought about it, the more I think he'll be back. He just checks all those boxes. Fun, the kids, obviously, you hear the reaction from the kids that are watching, and they all love Kyle, too. So, thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California, and here are my thoughts on Survivor 47, Episode 11. So we recap. Andy is making alliances with everyone, and we see Sue getting her idol. Will she play it tonight? No. That was such a red herring. I don't know why they showed us this episode. It had nothing to do with it. At the beginning of the episode, I noticed that it was very rainy and beautiful, but probably not comfortable for the players. They look miserable. Caroline is reflecting on her move, and I think that she read her relationship with Gabe correctly. I think she did what she had to do. Otherwise, her game was going to end up being exactly what she said it would have been, somebody who followed along with Gabe. So Andy makes a final 3 alliance with Rachel and Teeny. Sue and Caroline get in on it to be final 5. They call themselves the Underdog Alliance, and immediately they are not the underdogs anymore. Physical strength means nothing in this game unless you are in the majority alliance or have an immunity necklace around your neck. I was trying to follow Andy's mathematical calculations about percentages of chance to win, immunities and things like that, but I just couldn't. I almost paused it to see if I could make like a little rock map about it or something, but No, I can't wrap my brain around that kind of mathematical calculation and estimation of odds. So I don't know if he was right or wrong, but he sure does talk a good game. I found Genevieve's comment very interesting, that she said she feels no connection with anyone by design and that she would rather be a villain that people didn't connect with than be the best friend who killed their dream. So interesting. Does that make her a villain? Definitely not a Russell Hantz level villain, but I don't know if that's villain status or I don't know what that is. Can we just call that strategy GameBot strategy?
Mm-hmm.
On the journey, I loved the puzzle that Rachel had to solve. I love those puzzles, and I love the timer that they used. I just wonder if it was as close as they made it look. Editing can affect our perspective so much, but it looked really close. It'd be fascinating to know if it really was that close. So I thought it was a big red herring after the immunity challenge when everybody was just saying, we need to vote out Kyle, we need to vote out Kyle. I thought that he wasn't going to go. I thought it was going to be Sue because of what they showed us at the beginning of the episode. I did have Kyle as my vote out. I've had him as my vote out for the last 2 or 3 weeks because I figured that his luck had to run out at some point. Andy gets the credit for the title again this week. He is an episode title generating machine. He's 3 for 3 in a row right now. And I loved the way Kyle went out of the game with class. A hug for everyone and kind words. I am certain we will see him again. That's it for me. I can't wait to hear everyone else's perspectives on this episode. Till next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here. So I was a day late in watching the show, and even worse, I was a day late realizing that I never entered my picks. Oh well. Is there a prize for the lowest score in the JSFL?
Nope.
Okay, even with that, I did very much enjoy the episode. I've got to say that Sue was full of surprises for me. Yes, she lost Gabe, her security blanket, but it appears as though she found a washcloth because by the end of the episode, she was looking human again. You know, when she was talking to Caroline, I had to give her credit, and I even said to myself, wow, she is hiding her anger towards Caroline very well. But then she ended it all by saying that she really does trust her, so the credit I was giving to Sue now heads on over to my USB Caroline, and I'm happy about that. I think Caroline is actually coming into play now. Maybe with Gabe gone, the wounded birds will fly out of their nest. And my notes say that the advantage challenge actually looked like fun, but, you know, as I'm saying this, I'll be darned if I can recall what that challenge was, so maybe it wasn't all that fun? Hey, it's been a busy few days here. But the immunity challenge was one that I always like. I was literally on the edge of my seat and very happy for Rachel, but, well, I'll get to that but in a minute. Oh, but I do remember the advantage challenge, and yes, I loved it. The tension of those ropes unwinding, and you're instinctively going to want to watch that first rope unwind somewhat so you can gauge your time, but then again, the best thing to do is to completely ignore everything but the puzzle, but that's not easy to do, right? At first, I didn't think she was going to make it, but go Rachel. I was impressed. But after the immunity challenge, we see Kyle lose a second time, and it looks like 2 strikes and you're out for him. Now, the editors had me stymied as to how the vote would go, and the teeny vote really had me wondering where things were headed. But yeah, Kyle got the boot. And here's the thing. As I said before, I like Kyle. I'm just not invested in him as a winner. And when he exited the game and hugged Sue, who I'm sure finally felt that she needed a good hot bath after that, well, I said, wow, this is really a nice guy. But I don't know, I guess I'm emotionally crippled or something, because the further on down the line he got, I was really feeling that he was trying too hard, and it sort of kind of distanced me from him. Please tell me I'm not the only person who felt that that was somewhat over the top. I mean, he does realize that he's on the jury, not them, right? And finally, Genevieve has dodged the vote again. But will the third time be the charm? I don't think that they're going to target her as much now, because remember that butt that I left hanging before? That was about Rachel and my loving her winning that advantage. But wow, did Rachel paint a huge target on herself this week. No one that she didn't tell about winning the advantage believes her. And then she went and told too many people that she did win it. There's no way that stays a secret. And on top of that, she then won immunity. People were already looking at her as a threat, so I think people are going to shift from Genevieve to Rachel next. But she does have an idol, so she can last another week if she can read the room, and then there's her advantage, which will work best when there's less people in the game. If she plays it when there's 6 people left, her odds go to, let's see, 6 divided by 2.74. Her odds go to 1 out of 6. So a 6.25% chance of her staying another week. So maybe Genevieve does go next. And will someone please reassure me and tell me that the editors are not setting up Andy as the winner? Please tell me that all of his self-inflated bravado is going to turn into his undoing. Yes. And I guess I'm going to call it here. I'll catch y'all again next week. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm
with you.
telling you that will not happen.
I'm really with you, hoping that is not the case. Good stuff. Well, how do you think it's going to play out? What's with the fake idols or fake idol? We know Sam's still sitting on one because Saul told us in his exit interviews that he had it.
And it looked like Genevieve was making one.
So they're going to pitch that they've both got idols.
Maybe.
Is it going to be enough? And if are they going to rope Andy in so that they can force they're going to bring him in so they can have 3 votes potentially, and then maybe get a 2-2 for split, and then they would be the ones deciding who gets voted out. This is assuming Rachel doesn't use a block a vote, because if she blocks Sam or Genevieve, then it's a 2-2-2.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm still putting my vote on Genevieve as of today.
Yeah, that just seems like the most likely, like everybody was saying.
Regardless, I'm kind of with Jeremiah. I just want to put Genevieve till she goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hasn't served me well so far.
Totally get that. Yeah, we both had her to go last time.
And I said I wasn't going to keep voting who I wanted to go. But
now they coincide.
Kind of does. But that's where I'm leaning right now.
That must be what they're working on with her making one. They're going to try to get them to split the votes so that they can use Andy to be the 3. The kick will be, will Rachel know that this is a time to block? Because she's going to want to hold it. I forget who was saying it. Was it Barry? That 6 is the better place to block at.
But did Rachel and Andy not know of Sam's idol? I know he didn't play it, but neither one of them
Definitely
knew about
Andy
it.
didn't. They made a big point of that was why he didn't say anything when it expired, and that's why he chose not to play it and not to do not to bring it up. Sierra knew, but I don't think Rachel knew.
Yeah,
because,
so maybe they don't know, and he could get away with it.
Yeah. So there's a chance.
I would certainly try it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're going to see. They're going to try to get that group to, if they can swing Andy, he's kind of like the pivot, then they get the underdogs to go 2-2, and Andy will have flipped to be with them because he's going to be so enticed to make that big of a move to add that feather to his cap.
So you're saying they would put a vote on one of them for a 2-2-3. So
where they held the 3, where
3
Sam, Genevieve, and Andy would be 3 votes, and they would be controlling who leaves out of Teeny, Caroline, Sue, and Rachel.
But then they would still go back to being 3-3.
Yeah.
And why would they trust Andy then? So if he thinks that through, he shouldn't do it.
Well, you still need someone to flip to give you that majority.
Well, Sam and Genevieve do for sure, but yeah, I can't see any advantage to Andy.
There could be some serious fireworks going off if Rachel gets a hint that something's a little hinky. Then she could actually play her hidden immunity idol, which might even trigger Sue to play hers. And then all of a sudden, you've got 2 people in addition to whoever wins immunity, maybe, if it's not one of them, because they both won individual immunities before. But you could end up with 3 people immune in that vote, and then it would cut it down really quick.
Then Caroline and Teeny could be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Though hopefully, if Andy did flip, they would go after one of the 2 people that have an idol that they have no clue of.
Yeah, and maybe knock them out with it in their pocket.
Unless Sue trusted Andy enough to tell him.
Oh my goodness, now you added a whole nother level to it all.
So now I don't believe Rachel did, but...
that's a lot of good stuff to consider. Hey, big thanks to everybody who took the time to share your thoughts and predictions this week. We enjoyed it. We appreciate hearing from you, as always. We want to say a big thanks to Hazel for your subscription donation. Thanks, Hazel, for helping us keep the podcast rolling there. That helps with our production costs. We greatly appreciate your support.
And if you're playing in JSFL, remember to make your Week 12 picks for one person voted off and 4 people who are still safe at the end of the episode. Anything else you want to cover?
We will be back on Wednesday with our next recap. Have a good one.